What's going on? I just wanted to go over some draft items. This is probably a pretty important video to watch. I try my best to explain well in text, and I know it's not my most skilled way of communicating. So let me go down. I'm going to drop this whole list in the chat just as text, and then I'll drop this link anyways. So let's talk about check-in for the draft. It is so crucial that we have 12 out of 12 people drafting and not auto bidding. There's a few guys in this league, whether it's Maharg, me, Asan the Goat, Owen, Richie. We were all in a league last year where a guy, unfortunately his aunt had passed away earlier that day or maybe the night before, I'm not sure. But he no-showed the draft. There was no communication, and we certainly don't blame him. But it really just made the first hour of the draft trash. I mean, the guy's bidding up every single player. He hoards the first four of the first six running backs. It was a bad experience. So we want to make sure 12 out of 12 people are in the draft. So anytime from noon until 7:45, and I prefer it's a little earlier than 7:45, but anytime in that period, I need you to tag me in the chat at ZachRogers814. I'm good for tonight. When I get 11 yeses, and I know for sure I'll be there. When I get 11 yeses, we'll be good to go. If I've not heard from you by probably 7:15 or so, I'm going to be messaging you, yo, what's going on? Are you good? If by 7:45 I've not heard from you, I am going to have a replacement ready, and I'm going to tell that person, get ready to accept an invite. And if by 8 o'clock you're not in the draft room, or at least haven't checked in with me, I'm going to boot you. I'm going to get a replacement. So if you think there's any chance that you might miss the draft, do yourself a favor, find a co-owner and tell that person, hey, there's a chance I might not be able to draft. Can you draft this for me? Figure that out. We'll add a co-owner for you. If you don't figure that out, I'm going to replace you, and I'm not going to refund you, especially if you don't communicate with us. So that's number one. Number two, let's just talk basic draft etiquette. It's going to really help us. We want to stay within a 5-hour range, and I would love it to be shorter than that. It's going to go from 8 p.m. probably until about 12:30 a.m. 1 o'clock's our absolute cutoff. We're not going past 1 o'clock. We got people with jobs working the next day. We're going to respect people's time. So if it goes beyond that time, we go to a slow auction for the rest of it. And honestly, by that time, people have very few dollars left that they're bidding. Do us a favor. If you've got a player and you're just kind of getting a vibe of how the draft is going, bid a number that there's certainly no chance that that's going to be the final number. So, if guys are going for, I'll just make up a number. If Patrick Mahomes just went for 175, and Justin Herbert gets nominated, don't bid $2 or $3. Bid 75. Bid 100 maybe. Because there's no universe that he's going to go for less than half of Mahomes. So help us to move the draft along. And now this piece is for your sanity and not necessarily mine. Sleeper's draft software has been not the best. It can lag a little bit, and if you lag and you click with 2 seconds left and it doesn't register your click, I can't pause the draft. I can't undo it. We're kind of just where it is. I would really recommend, I wouldn't bid later than 5 seconds remaining on the clock. I just don't think that Sleeper's system is quite reliable enough to be trusted to get down to the 1 second and then the click. You could try it. It's dramatic. It's fun, but you might not get what you want. So we are going to draft 23 rounds of players, which works out to 276 players. How that's going to work is I'm actually going to have to manipulate a couple things because some people might not want to draft 23 players. Some people might want to draft more than 23 players, and we want to allow that. But Sleeper is going to stop you from drafting more than 23 players. They won't allow it if I just set it to 23 rounds. So I'm going to set it to 30, and we're just going to manually stop at 23. Well, now we run into a secondary problem, is that Sleeper is going to require you to spend $1 on every single roster spot. And so what we're going to do is everyone is going to see, it's going to look a little funny, but everyone's going to see $1,000 extra of draft dollars. You're not allowed to spend any of that. It is just the easiest way that I've figured out to kind of manipulate the system to allow you to spend over or under these roster spots, but not the actual dollars. So if you have a $480 budget, you're going to show a $1,480 budget. Just spend you know up to your 480. You can spend less if you want rollover dollars, whatever. If you drop below that 1,000, we're going to remove players from your team most recently drafted until you're back to that 1,000, and you're going to lose any extra money. We really don't want to make a mess of it. So don't overbid. You have your amount. So if it's, I'm at like 610 or something like that, I'm gonna have 1,610, and if I overspend that, just don't do that. I don't want to get into the what if. Just your number will be cleanly there. Just ignore the 1 and you'll be good to go. This is going to allow it, if you want to spend on 11 players, you can spend your whole $500 budget on those 11 players. And then what'll happen is I'll pause the draft briefly because you're going to have another 19 spots or whatever. I'll just very quickly Commissioner Power assign you $1 players that you'll drop at the end of the draft. Just, nonsense players. And then we can keep it moving with everyone else. And you won't have to nominate players and spend against your budget, and you're not allowed to do that anyways. So, yeah, that's unfortunately a little bit kind of clunky, but it's the best way I've figured out to do it. I thought about just adding $30 to everyone's budget, but then you have to do the math. Okay, I got to subtract 30 from this number, so what am I really at? Like, you shouldn't really have to do any math with this because you just ignore the 1 on the left-hand side, and then that's your number. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now's the best time to ask. Thanks, guys. Good luck.